Hello, this is Liz. I'm going to show you today how to make an announcement in Google Classroom and talk about some reasons why it's a really useful tool. The first thing we need to do is create the announcement in our classroom. So I'm going to go into the classroom that we created earlier, and I'm going to go to the plus sign at the bottom, and I just want to create an announcement. Now, an announcement can be used for a lot of things, but I suggest the first time you use it with your class, give them kind of a journal prompt type question. Now, after you've typed your question in, there are a couple options on this screen I want to show you. First of all, if you have multiple classes and you want to post it to each of those classes, you can use this checkbox right here. If you don't want to send it to all your students, now I only have one student in this class, but if you don't want to send it to all of them, maybe you have a student who's out of class for the day, and you just don't want them to be bothered with it, or you're differentiating and you have different types of questions for each student group, then maybe you'll have 3 different announcements and assign them to different groups. This would be great for like literature circles or reading book club type of people. So what you would do is just uncheck the people you don't want it to go to. All right? Now down here you have a topic. This will help filter. You can see over here all the topics. I don't have any yet, but if you had language arts questions, math questions, and assignments, maybe you have a just for fun topic for discussion. You can kind of help your students filter things here. And then across the bottom, you can attach files. You can get something from your Google Drive. You can attach a YouTube video or a web link to a website or a Google form or a Flipgrid. You could put in links for all kinds of things. Okay, so remember, you can attach things to your announcement. Finally, I'm ready to post this, so I'm going to post it right here. But if I wasn't, maybe it was over the weekend and I'm getting things prepared, I can go to this arrow and I can schedule it for tomorrow or later today, or I can simply save it as a draft. If I save it as a draft, it's just going to be up here on my view, but students aren't going to see it at all. All right? And then when I'm ready to post it, I'm going to come back in here and I'm just going to post. All right, and there's my question. Now, students are going to reply in the class comment section, but before they do, there's one thing I want to adjust. When I come up into this student tab, I have an option over here that students can post and comment. That means students will see this plus sign and be able to add announcements, assignments, questions, etc. I don't necessarily want my students to be able to do that. I'm going to change this to students can only comment. If there were a situation where you didn't want them to be able to class comment, you can turn that off, but I really recommend you allow them to comment. There's so many important digital citizenship rules to learn here and collaboration experiences that I would like you to leave. I would suggest leaving comment on. All right, so let's see how that's going to look from student view. We're going to come over as a student and see how they would post on an announcement. So here's my student classroom window, and they're going to click on the tile to go into the classroom, and there's the comment. Okay, now they're going to click add class comment and type whatever comment they want. So let's say I just put this up and the first time my student just says dog and posts it. Okay, that's going to happen. What about a student who does this? Because that's going to happen too, unless we're ahead of that. So I want to come back over here and I want to remind you of a way you can coach your students through this, okay? One of the reasons we want them doing writing online is because we want them developing that digital stamina to create a complete response, okay? So as soon as we look at the question as a class, we're going to read the question and we're going to remind them of the 4 steps. First, think of your answer. What answer do you want to give? Okay, I would want a dog for a pet. Why? I'm going to make sure that I've thought it all the way through. Then I'm going to start to type. So let's come back over here. Okay, typos on purpose. And then we're going to read it back. We always want to remind, I mean, how many of us have ever sent a text and wished that we had proofread first? So we might as well start teaching our students, after you write, proofread. I have some words here underlined in red. Would. I could just right click and I can go, oh, that's right, it's OU. Okay, and I can teach my students spell check. Because isn't here. You know why? I didn't even get close enough. So we'll fix that one. And then the other thing, I'm not just reading back to make sure I spelled things right. I'm reading back, does that really explain why I would want it? I think I'm going to add some information. Okay, so coming back over here, we thought about it, we typed out the answer, we reread the answer, and now we're ready to submit. So I'm going to post. All right, after students post, they can see if there were any others posted while they were working. A common thing is students wanting to go really fast so that they can see everyone else's. That student isn't recognizing that they're contributing to this pot also of resources and ideas. They need to make sure they're contributing a really high quality idea and taking their time to write and submit. This is going to take some practice, don't you see, for students to really get the idea of how to compose a useful response that contributes to the group. That's why we want to do these announcements regularly. We want to give them opportunities to talk. They could be fun, they could be content related, they could be all kinds of things. Now from the teacher view, there are a couple things we want to do. I'm going to come back to our stream and I see our answers. Okay, now it turns out maybe this kid, I see they posted again. We'll just say this one posted too soon. So I can come in and I can delete, okay, and just get it off of the stream. That'll help students see the quality posts are the ones that we want. And if I had noticed that student posted right away, I could just walk over to them and go, hey, you forgot to explain why you want it. Would you give it a try again? I'm going to remove yours and give you another chance, okay? It's not a behavior thing or a discipline thing. It's just an opportunity for learning because teaching is what we do. And then this kind of situation is always going to happen. And the question is, hey, does that contribute to the group? Does that help our discussion? Maybe not so much. So I'm going to delete. Notice this option also. I can mute. If this is a continuous problem, this student is just constantly doing this, I would, hey, you know what? This week I'm going to need to mute you when we do our classroom thing. You seem to be having a hard time having self-control. What I want you to do this week is watch the other responses that people do. See the kind of thing I'm going for. Next week we're going to try it again. Don't mute a kid forever because then they don't have an opportunity to relearn and try again. Okay, so I'm going to mute just to show you what it looks like. And then I'm going to come over and refresh their page. Now I didn't even need to refresh because it's already showing. Now this student doesn't even have that can comment to class option. You see how that works? When I'm ready to unmute, I can just come back over here. I see this little symbol that test user 1 is muted. And I can unmute right here. All right, so that's how we use announcements. It's pretty straightforward. What I'd like you to do, go over to Flipgrid, flipgrid.com, and then put in this board code, or if you have the app on your phone or your iPad, 1BA884F. That's our Flipgrid board to share ideas. How do you use announcements in your classroom? How could you see using announcements? They don't always have to be discussion prompts. Let's just gather a whole bunch of ideas over on our Flipgrid for ways that you can use announcements in your classroom. Thanks, and I hope that helps you get started using announcements in your Google Classroom. Please do it often. Aim for 2 or 3 times a week to start out to get students used to this routine and to give them a digital way to express themselves. Have a great day.